Hey, Roger Martin here for Billings, Montana. What do I know for sure about the COVID-19 and what's going on in the hospitals? My daughter works for a program that helps supply the doctors at the hospitals, their apparel. And they've so slowed down this week that they're cutting hours. Now, they were a little busy last week, and I think the week before, but they've slowed down these last 2 weeks. Now, what's that say? No one is talking about this. Why have the numbers been so far off? We're going to talk a little bit about that. And more important point, or just as important point, is why are the hospital staffs being laid back and cut off? Why are they cutting their hours on the hospital staff? I repeat, why are they cutting the hours on the hospital staffs? We're being conned here. We're being conned here. We'd had all this hype on all these emergencies, and the hospital staffs have actually been cut back. What is really going on here? We've been conned again. Let's get into this. The stats are way over, maybe 5 times what they should have been, maybe more, maybe less in some situations. But when this guy talks about these stats, this group here, you can see at their chart, it's less than half. Listen to this, less than half.
Predicts that New York will need 25,000 hospital beds. As of this morning, the real number was just under 17,500. The new model also predicted that as of today, almost 6,600 people would be in intensive care, and the actual number is just under 4,600. In Florida, the new model predicted 4,000 people would be hospitalized. The reality in Florida tonight is that not even 2,000 are. And it wasn't just Florida and New York. The IHME got it wrong in state after state after state. By the way, for America, this is great news, and we should celebrate it. It's much better.
So we're much better off than they predicted. Less than half in most cases, and in the high-end areas where they've had problems, sometimes it's not even half. They're closer in New York, and some of these other areas are a little closer, but it was not even close to their high-end predictions. And that's the only part of the story. You get in here where the doctors are grouping pneumonia and other cases that are not coronavirus cases together with coronavirus cases. That's really making the numbers higher than they should be because the numbers are not accurate.
Must be working, but not so fast. Those measures were built into the model in the first place. They've already been taken into account, and we are still doing far better than what epidemiologists believe was the best case scenario. So the question is, and it's a central question as we move forward, how did this happen? Well, it's possible the virus is just less deadly than we feared it was, or it's less likely to send people to the hospital. Maybe it spreads less easily than we thought it did. Maybe it spreads more easily than we thought it did, and the number of asymptomatic carriers is higher than we knew. All of those are reasonable theories. We have no idea which one could be true. Then there's this. In a new draft paper, MIT economist Jeffrey Harris suggests that Americans are following social distancing guidelines more effectively than authorities ever imagined they would. And that's another potential explanation.
All right, let's go past all these suppositions. What I can tell you for sure is that we're doing much, much better than anyone expected.
That was the key concern. Except in a handful of places, really it hasn't come very close. Patients always of emergency rooms.
Now again, quote unquote, except for a handful of cases, 6 cases in the United States, it hasn't even come close to the numbers projected.
With physicians too overwhelmed to treat them. That was the concern. It happens in other countries. It's not happening here. Thank God for that. All of this means that the short-term crisis, the ones that we worried about so fervently, in which pressure on hospitals grew so exponentially day by day with no end in sight, that short-term crisis may have passed. We'll see, but it looks like it may have. Now it's time to look ahead.
Now he says that short-term crisis may have passed. I believe it has already passed. I believe it passed this last week. But again, we're not being given accurate numbers or predictions. And the major media networks, including Fox, are responsible for not getting accurate numbers and reporting accurate numbers. This has been a sham from the beginning, and it's been a deep state corporate game that has worked so well that they have to be cheering all the way to the bank. Again, this is a deep state corporate cheering section here. It has said, wow, this works so great, we're going to pull it off. We're going to be smelling like a rose. We're going to make a lot of money on this. We're going to show that this is really how we can scare the hell out of people and control them. And it's worked very effectively. The deep state, deep corporate state, dark, corrupt corporations have loved this. The positive side of this is we've done much better than they suspected, and we're getting our manufacturing back, we're getting our supply chains back, and we are getting over this quicker than they expected. That's the positive side. I'm going to let it go here. There's much more to this that we're not hearing, unfortunately. But we need to get back to work, get testing done, get back to work, and move on. The economic and the deaths caused by suicide, mental illness, overdoses, and other related things, loss of jobs, loss of incomes, loss of housing or businesses, small businesses. The financial side of this needs to be looked at more carefully than these medical scare and numbers. This is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day. That's my spin on it. Like it or leave it. Good day. There is some positive stuff, and we need to be looking at the positive stuff, not just scaring the hell out of everybody like the major networks are doing. Shame on them. We need more accurate news.